This is Sara from Omnia. We've been experimenting on replanting different kinds of herbs and edible plants for quite a while now. Our goal is to have an indoor herb garden that can provide us with all the fresh herbs we might ever need for our family. We've used both seeds and store-bought plants like this in our experiments. What we've learned is that although seeds work, we want to skip ahead some and use store-bought plants to start with instead. So we moved to buying herbs, which we then replant and get to thrive in a way that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. By using store-bought herbs, we get the best of both worlds. We get to enjoy the herbs that are in season right from the start, and also we're able to experiment more to find out what works best for each herb. I prefer buying a fresh herb that's on sale from a store or directly from a nursery that I can use straight away instead of going the seed way. But there is a major flaw with most of the herbs you buy, and that is that they are commercially grown. That means they are grown as fast and as cheap as possible. So getting them to survive and thrive takes a bit of know-how. If you don't replant them, they usually wither away quickly. So, in this video, I will show you how to replant a store-bought coriander plant. This one. So that you also can enjoy coriander for a lot longer than the usual lifetime of these store-bought plants. I usually use coriander with chicken. I think it goes especially well with chicken cooked in coconut milk. That is one of my favorite meals. So, let's first go through what you need. Here is the organic coriander plant that we're gonna replant. This one came in a small plastic pot. The size of the pot of the plant you buy doesn't matter, as you won't be using it anyway. But if you're able to buy plants with the size of the pot that you're using in your indoor herb garden, then I recommend that you buy those and you won't need to replant them. If so, then all I recommend you to do is to place the pot in our homemade pot system. I highly recommend that you choose organic plants, as we've seen that organic ones survive the stress of replanting better. But if you can't, get a regular one and try it out anyway. We successfully replanted non-organic ones as well. And also, if you're opted for organic soil, then of course you want an organic plant to keep it all organic. Also, if you stored the plant in the fridge, let the plant rest at room temperature for a while before you replant it. I usually let it rest for an hour or so at minimum. So as I mentioned, we won't be using the pot that it came in. We use our own homemade pot system for indoor herb garden plants. A standard setup for each of our plants consists of a food-grade container and an inner pot with several holes in it that's suspended above the water level inside the container. This pot system is very good and our plants just seem to love it. It's so much better than just using soil. It's also very easy to make yourself. If you want to make one yourself, I asked my husband Peter to show how to make one and also go through why it works. I'll add a link to that video in the description. And then of course you need some plant soil. We use organic soil, but as it's quite a lot more expensive, you can go with non-organic. But I recommend you make sure that it's from natural sources and not made from a mix with matter from sources like city sewage, etc. Also, I recommend you buy regular plant soil. With the pot system we're using, our herbs grow like crazy. So instead of wasting money of some kind of specialty soil, I recommend you instead invest that money in an organic plant soil. It works just fine. You also need some water. We use our own special blend of water that we found works very well. You can watch our video about how we make it if you're interested. I'll add a link in the description for that as well. But you can also use regular tap water. I usually don't want to use the water straight from the tap. Instead, I let the water rest overnight or at least for a few hours before using it. If you are like me and enjoy drinking a lot of tea, I recommend you also add leftover water from your kettle to the water you're using for your herbs and other plants. I also use a waterproof tablecloth to protect my kitchen counter or table wherever I'm doing this. As you're handling soil with lots of bacteria and other microorganisms, I recommend you buy a tablecloth that you use exclusively for your plant activities. I like these wax or oily tablecloth that are easy to keep clean. And also, as an added bonus, when it's time to replace it, you have a lot of different colors and patterns to choose from. So, that's all the things you need to replant like a pro. Now that we've gone through the items you need to replant this store-bought coriander, let's go through how to actually replant it. We don't need this water right now, so I move it. The first step is to remove the pot. All you have to do is gently press or massage the sides of the pot to loosen the plant from the sides. And then you remove it like this. Look at the roots. So, after you've removed the pot from the plant, you need to make sure to loosen all the hard-packed soil so that when you water it later, the water can reach the roots of the entire plant. The way to loosen the soil is the same as you did while removing the pot it came in. All you do is gently press or massage it, the sides, while you need to make sure you don't break its roots. This step is quite important, but you don't have to overdo it, just loosen it some. Some say that you should break up these store-bought plants into separate or pairs of 2 plants per pot. That's mainly because if you keep them in an ordinary pot with soil, they use up all the nutrients of the soil faster. We found out that with the pot system we're using, we don't need to do that at all. The nutrients in the soil is of course used in our pot system as well, but when we add our water to it, that also has nutrients in it, then the soil and the bacteria it contains last a lot longer. Next, you place the inner pot, this one, on the table and put the plant in it to figure out how much soil you need to use at the bottom of the pot so that the plant and the upper rim of the inner pot are in level. So all you do now is add the soil that's required to level with the inner pot. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you add too much soil, you can always make that suitable hole in the middle of the pot. Don't press or try to harden the soil just yet. So the next step is to plant. We place this in the center of the pot. And we add the soil to the sides between the plant and the inner pot. Be sure to fill the entire side of the inner pot with soil. I recommend that you press or try to pack the soil some, so you make sure that it goes all the way to the bottom, and also that it keeps the plant straight, and also in the center of the inner pot. Because I like to have my plants grow straight, and also I want them to be in the center of the pot, so all the roots of the plant get the same amount of room to grow. And it also looks so much better on the windowsill. So after you added the soil to the side, you finish up by gently pressing on the plant itself. The goal is here to get the rim of the inner pot about 1/2 centimeter or 1/5 of an inch above the plant. That way you're able to water it without having water all over the place. Now that I have replanted the coriander, I'll take this outer pot and I will add water. I'll add it to the maximum water level mark I have here on my container. Like that. It doesn't matter if you get some soil in the container like I just did now. You always get some soil in the water from a new plant. So now we carefully place the inner pot inside our outer container. Perfect fit. And water it. Try to water in the middle of the plant. As we loosen the soil the plant came with earlier, the water we now add won't go straight through the soil, but stay in it. This coriander seems a bit sad right now. Well, that's probably because we had to retake the few segments a few times. Well, actually quite a lot of times. But it will recuperate after a few hours of rest. Add quite a lot of water the first few days, but don't soak it. The roots and the bacteria in the soil won't survive too much water. So try to keep it damp, but not soaked. After a few days, you might notice that the soil on the sides is lower than the middle part, where the plant is. That's perfectly normal. All you do is add some more soil to the sides. But remember, for your convenience, try to keep the soil about 1/2 centimeter or 1/5 of an inch below the upper rim of the inner pot. So this is how we replant our store-bought coriander to keep it fresh for a lot longer. Coriander loves the sun, so pick a well sunlit windowsill to place it on and enjoy. I hope to see you in the next video, and good luck with your indoor herb garden.